Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner on the Bridging Impact Podcast Network. I am your host, Coach Furtado, where every Friday I share the wisdom I am learning from coaching to pass it on to you so we can help transform the next generation of youth by teaching leadership through athletics. And in today's conversation, I'm going to touch on the importance of emphasis when we are teaching and communicating. And so diving right in, we are in an age of so much information, right? And most of our athletes are on social media, depending on the age of the athletes that you're communicating with. Regardless, at whichever stage of life they are in, they are receiving a lot of information. And even if they weren't on social media, emphasizing our key points is one of the most essential ways to teach. And so I want to break down, number one, the importance of being able to emphasize is it's confusing for, anyone, even adults, not only just kids, that when there's so much information, they need to understand, okay, our brain has an opportunity to synthesize and prioritize what to remember. And as coaches and teachers and leaders, if we do not give them the principles and the framework to emphasize, to remember, right, the key points, that is what emphasizing is for. And I think as I've, had the opportunity to work with a lot of different coaches, a lot of times they just go through the whole, kind of practice plan, they go through the whole drill without making the key points that you want your athletes to directly take away from the skill, the drill, the practice. So with that, I'm going to share 3 different ways that you can be able to utilize emphasizing as a tool. And then I'll also ask you, what other tools that you use for emphasizing so we can continue to share with the coaches that are listening and learning. Because at the end of the day, our mission, our goal is to help our athletes learn. We're there to help them become better athletes, better students, better people, better leaders, right? And one of the ways we have to continue to do that and do that in an effective and efficient manner is our ability to teach. And I feel like emphasizing is one of the most important skills that I have learned from being able to teach young athletes on certain skills. So the first tip is how to utilize your core values. Okay, so one of the things is, right, core values. So if I am a teacher and I'm a basketball coach, right? And we have core values that our team created together. And one of them is, playing connected, right? Playing as a team. So that's a core value. And so that's something that we want to emphasize daily, right? And if you see a behavior of someone who is doing it, playing connected well, like that's a great extra pass, right? That's a great, way to be a good teammate, help your teammate up, good way to recognize them and high five. And so you're going to emphasize being connected and being a great teammate in a lot of different ways. And it's the same thing on the flip side that I had a conversation with an athlete this week is, they weren't super connected to the team this week. And with that being said, I had to have a conversation with them multiple times about, hey, your body language shows me that you do not want to be here, and that's not being connected, right? And so it's emphasizing that and emphasizing over and over again, which kind of leads me into my second point of consistency, right? We want to be consistent about how we develop our athletes every single day. So in terms of that, are we making sure that we are emphasizing being and playing connected daily, or is it just once a week? Or once every 2 weeks? And because it's once every 2 weeks or once a week, right, they're not going to remember it. They have so much other things going on. They're students, they have a home life, right? And so with that being said, we have to be able to touch on things. And that's why we relate it back to our core values, and it's core values, because you don't want to have 26 values because you can't emphasize 26 things. That's the beauty about sports. Every team adopts, different philosophies, and one philosophy isn't necessarily better than the other. It's just a philosophy that team buys in, and it maybe fits that team and is an opportunity to grow from. So we have to be consistent in our ability of what we emphasize. And the last one is connecting to the why. So connecting to the why is really important. And this, especially for this generation doesn't want to do anything that is pointless, right? And as a coach, right, you should want to maximize and make your time as efficient as possible. And so connecting to the why. So like, why do we want to play connected? Why do we want to be connected? Right. And a lot of times, yes, it is pretty self-explanatory of why we should play connected. But, one of the bigger reasons that we should play connected is because when we are down 15, 20 points, we're not going to be able to win and come back if, we are doing it as individuals. We have to do it as a collective. We have to do it one shot at a time. We have to play connected, and we have to feel like we believe and stay tapped in. And in those opportunities where it's challenging, right? It's easy to be connected and do well when things are going well, right? And so it's an extra challenge when there is other challenges. And if you're not, again, if it doesn't relate to your core values and you're not being consistent, you're not going to be able to connect it to the why in the same way. So again, connecting to the why, I think, is also another thing. It's like when you're teaching skills and drills, like, let's take body language for another, effect. Like for me, like I'm big on body language. What are you showing your teammates? What are you showing the other team, right? If we're in a game and you're, giving bad body language after a poor foul call, right? It's going to happen. That body language then reflects and is a weakness because you are giving an advantage to the other team. The other team's like, okay, we know we're in this player's head. And so that then affects the whole collective as a team. And that's not staying connected. So it kind of comes back to that same value that we are teaching and preaching every single day. And, I'll be honest, I haven't been the best about, connecting and communicating it consistently. And this is why this is an opportunity for me to share here on the podcast. And for you coaches that are listening and other parents and leaders, I would love to, know your thoughts on, how do you navigate being consistent, right? And sometimes it's repackaging the message, right? And you don't want to necessarily always say the same thing, or you want to maybe bring someone in or send a video of a professional coach or a professional athlete saying and sharing similar values, because you're going to want to have different touch points, right? Like some people are going to respond better to, a little bit of the motivational speaking and, modeling the way, but some coaches, some athletes may respond better to getting a video. Some athletes may respond better to receiving a text, right? And so that's just the art of coaching, right? And that's something that I'm still figuring out about the athletes that I'm coaching now is, okay, how do they respond? I've only been working with them for a few weeks. It's kind of funny. I feel like whenever, I'm in a position and I'm coaching, I always figure it out towards the end of the season and boom, the season ends. So how can I kind of speed up that process? And that's going to be a lot of listening. And it's, one of the things that is emphasizing, but also getting them to reiterate it, right? So asking them questions and getting them to, repeat back the emphasis. So those are some really key points. I'd love to hear some of your comments. If you, connect with me on social media, you can, give me an email. However you want to connect with me. That's why I'm creating this content. And I would love if you could, if you really get something out of this podcast, it'd mean a lot if you leave a 5-star review on Spotify and then also on Apple Podcasts and leave a review. That's how it helps us grow. And we can, feature you in the Bridging Impact community, because that's what we want to do. We want to really bridge the impact from, our generation, the teachers, the leaders, the coaches, to the next generation of leaders of our community. And so many leaders of our community start on the court in sports, and there's so many life lessons that we need to be really intentional about it. And that's the purpose of this podcast. So again, if you could share it with a friend, a coach, give me feedback on how we can improve that, all of that would be a really huge help. I appreciate you for being a part of the Bridging Impact community, and I will be in your ears and eyes next week. So without a wonderful weekend, Coach Furtado out.